I don't want to admit it. Do I need to get other people?
Yes.
But they'll degrade the quality of the show.
No, they'll add to it. And if that's really your perspective, then you have no place running a show in the first place.
What happens if I don't?
There is no show.
Fine.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
I hate you so much. Like, there are 10 million words in the English language, and right now, none of them can describe my desire to whack you across the face with a steel chair. I hope you realize this.
Yeah. Anyway, so the show's happening now? You agree?
Fine.
Hey everyone, I hope you're all staying safe. My name's Justin Janoson.
And I'm Aydan Dougall.
AKA my new Canadian sidekick.
Excuse me, partner.
Whatever. I was told the show needs more diversity, so... Anyway, how are you Northerners doing up there in the not quite United States?
Well, Justin, pretty good actually, considering that my country's leader is not prematurely opening our country, putting millions of lives at risk.
I live in New York, so... I'm still screwed. Well, on to the news. Passenger airlines everywhere are trying to regain consumer confidence by cleaning their planes. Wow, I never would have thought of that. I mean, you got that big fat guy on the left, that kid throwing up in front of you, and that crying middle-aged mom in the back watching The Notebook. Like, you know how many germs are on a plane?
In controversial Canadian news, our beloved and good-looking Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has decided to grow out his beard during this quarantine. Now, this has been a hotly debated topic across many fronts. Some people say it makes him look better, and some people say it makes him look worse. In a survey of middle-aged women, his strongest political demographic, 45.8% said that Trudeau looks better with a beard, and even saying, in their own words, it makes him look, quote-unquote, even more like a DILF. 15.6, however, say that they prefer babyface Trudeau. Finally, 38.6% say that he could do whatever with his facial hair and they would still let him, again, their words, quote-unquote, with a running them over with and going beep. Obviously, there's not too much political drama right now to focus on for Canadians.
Tune in next week where we'll debate whether Trudeau looks better in white, black, or brown face.
In other news, singer Grimes and Elon Musk had their baby this month. Now, they have chosen quite the uncommon name, X-A12. Now, this has convinced the rest of the world that this baby may be from Mars and that one of Musk's companies is going to start making babies just like it and releasing them in the fall of 2021. This does not reflect the... Personally, I think that the baby is very human and very cute.
Not surprisingly, Twitter users are up in arms about the kid's name. After all, who the hell names their kid that? Like, you can't even put that on the SAT. But it's whatever. Personally, I am under the belief that the kid's name is Kyle, and this is just all a secret cover-up so Elon Musk can be the first one to colonize Mars. I don't know where the pieces fit, but I will figure it out. Anyway, on to graduation. Something that most people aren't having. Due to the current circumstances, many schools are turning to Minecraft to host their graduations, which, I mean, Minecraft's just like school. You build something really, really great, at least you think it's great, until Catherine Bakora builds a freaking castle, and you're like, and then you just kind of give up and curl up into a ball and cry for a few hours. I will beat you one day.
Alrighty, Justin. We don't actually have time right now to meet your childhood demons.
Really, Aydan? Because, I mean, there's only one thing tormenting me in my life right now, and it looks like a Canadian teenage girl.
Oh, Justin, you are so sweet. I can't believe that I'm having such a huge impact on your life already. It really means a lot.
No, that's not what I meant.
In other news, this pandemic has greatly affected so many people around the world in so many different ways. However, there have been some positive impacts. For example, there has been less pollution in the air, time to work on home projects, time to work on ourselves, and really, this has been the greatest thing of all. Time to learn how to just so effectively put on weight. Now, I have a secret I've been waiting for this very moment to share with you all out there. All of our Janoshow viewers, you are about to get my secret daily routine for an effective quarantine 15. Now, the key is get up, carbs, just carbs, so many carbs, right? Couch, go directly to the couch. Do not look anywhere else. Don't think about anything else. Carbs, couch, okay? Following me here. More carbs after the couch, okay? Then bake something. This has to be at nighttime. This has to be also worth 1,500 calories. There's no less, no more. Eat it at 12 a.m. Now, go to bed and repeat the cycle the next day. It has to be couch, carbs, carbs, couch, dessert, bed, repeat, okay? Are we following this here? Because if you're not going to gain an effective quarantine 15. How about you, Justin?
Actually, I've been following this strict new exercise routine where it involves me getting up, going to the kitchen, eating 5 DiGiorno's, passing out, having diarrhea, and crying myself to bed.
You know what, Justin? That is so great. I'm really proud of you for that consistency. You know, consistency is key. That's what I like to say. In life, consistency. Whether it be consistent pizza eating, consistent crying, consistent diarrhea, it's really, that's all that is important is the consistency. And I'm really proud of you. Thank you for sharing that.
I know, right? I'm living the American dream. Speaking of the American dream, our senior correspondent for Disney Princesses, James Power, is here to talk to us about what they've been doing since Disneyland has shut down.
Thanks, Justin. Since COVID-19 began spreading, Disney parks have had to close their doors, and their princesses have been forced to go home. Hopefully, they are enjoying a well-deserved vacation. Today, I have the privilege of catching up with some of the sweet girls in a segment we called Reporting on Royalty. Please follow me. Look at me, Mom! Your son is talking with royalty. Starting off with my favorite half fish, half human, Ariel. Hey Ariel, how's quarantine going? Swimmingly, I presume. Whoa, Ariel, you look so different.
Yeah, I picked up some hair dye at CVS and now I'm brunette. Crazy, right? Well, anyway, James, I'm trying to de-stress. Usually I would go to the beach and de-stress, but I can't because all of the beaches are closed.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Ariel.
Would you like to know why I'm trying to de-stress, James?
Sure, yeah.
Because I found Eric on Tinder.
Ariel, I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry. But on the bright side, you live in a castle. I'm sure quarantine isn't that bad.
It would be better if it was just me and Flounder and I wasn't being suffocated by some pest all the time.
Pest? Do you have an infestation?
No, a human pest.
Ariel? Ariel, who are you talking to?
You asshole, okay? Go find another piece of on Tinder.
Ariel, sweetheart, can we just talk about this? I think you're overreacting. Look, I had a moment of weakness, okay? I haven't had real human contact in years.
Oh, I'm not human enough for you? I gave up my tail for you, okay? And you don't even appreciate me. Do you know how weird the human body is? You don't...
Okay. That was, Let's turn to the south of France, where we catch up with Belle, who allows us to be her guest.
Oh gosh, James, am I ever so glad to hear from you.
I'm sure that you and the Beast are having so much needed quality time.
Well, if I'm being totally honest, things have not been great here in La Maison des Chiens. Since we can't have gatherings of over 10 people. I'm sorry, I get choked up. Since we can't have gatherings of over 10 people, I've been having to eat my food off of the floor because my dishes are considered people too, and they can't come in.
Oh, Belle, I'm so sorry. However, last time I checked, the dishes aren't living things.
Well, actually, James, under the Protection for Cursed Objects Act passed in 1991, any cursed object, including but not limited to mirrors, teapots, teacats, candlesticks, books, brooms, hourglasses, dolls, my deceased grandmother-in-law, donkey from Shrek, etc., they were all allowed to form a labor union, and despite your privileged beliefs, dishes are considered people too. You really might want to study up on the civil kite movement before coming for me and making any more gross assumptions.
Now, let's turn our attention to Sleeping Beauty, who is fast asleep. I guess we'll catch up with Aurora later. Let's move then to our final princess of the night, Snow White. Snow White, I know you're too sweet and too generous to have anything sketchy going on. Tell me, how are you and the dwarves?
They're going to hear you. This is the only minute I could get away from them.
Oh my gosh. Are you okay? What's going on?
The dwarves. The pie shop, my God, James. Since the quarantine started, people have nothing to do, so they just keep eating pies. And the dwarves. Don't get me started on the dwarves. They've been bouncing off the walls and bouncing off each other, and my God, James, they're going to tear each other to shreds. Shoot. Here they come, all.
Well, it looks like reporting on royalty is not as glamorous as it sounds. In these rough times, even the Disney princesses are losing their minds. Thank you for sticking with me throughout this rocky interview. Back to you, Justin.
Thank you so much, James, for that interesting look into the lives of our favorite Disney gals.
You know, Justin, people often say that I look like Belle.
Really? I don't see it. I mean, maybe her Canadian, very, 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 very distant cousin 3 times removed, and then that person's best friend, but no, I can't see it.
Oh, shut it.
Anyway, that's all the time we have for the Janonews this week. I hope that you guys enjoyed it.
And if you did, please consider joining our Patreon at www.patreon.com/puzzlepiece.
Now, we have some great segments coming up, including
Tribute to the class of 2020.
an Almost True Uber ride.
And Justin's awesome interview with the amazing animation director David Schaub. Now, just to clarify, it was not amazing in the respect that Justin was amazing. It was amazing in the fact that we had such an amazing guy come on our show. And thank you again to David for coming on. So stick around for all those amazing things.
Roll over. Chance high five. All right. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother and... I am totally a hot person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back.
When you want to talk, I'm here. Dear class of... Mom, do I have to do this?
We're almost done, guys! Yeah, this is the final step! What's up, class of 2020? Welcome to Zoom graduation, bros. Oh, dude.
Dear class of 2020, we did it together. I mean, not together, you probably don't even know me. I'm Jessica. I've been homeschooled since preschool.
Number 1, say something uplifting. I can't do this anymore. I literally...
We had, like, such a year, bruh. You feel me, bruh? Oh, dude. I mean, wow.
I don't even really know why I am included in this video. But I think we're a really special class.
Number 2, what was my favorite part of high school? Yeah, when quarantine started. My favorite part of high school? That had to be either robotics or mathletes.
I think my favorite part of it, bro, was like, just everything, bro.
My favorite part of high school was definitely when I got to go see Avenue Q as a second grader for a field trip. I didn't understand any of it, but, you know, the puppets were really cool.
Yeah, I hated seeing everyone every single day. They were so annoying with their drama and the schoolwork and all of the things that were happening. And now I finally get to stay at home and sleep. And oh, my package! Probably Mathletes more because I got this varsity letter from it. But we're called the Peacocks. Our mascot's Peter Peacock. What team has peacocks as their mascot?
And then also sports, bro. Dude, I mean, the football team, we made a loss like all the games, bro, but we had some wicked good times afterwards.
I got a few funny looks, but it was really what made me want to do theater.
Number 3, what do I miss about my teachers?
For all of our teachers and professors, dude, I mean, like, you guys were great. You were, yeah.
Well, I do really miss Mr. Monroe, the woodshop teacher. What a great man. He even signed my college recommendation.
Something I'm gonna miss about my teachers? Well, probably not much, seeing as we're having a family dinner tonight.
Okay, maybe what I miss about my teachers is like the learning and no.
Oh, dude, but Miss Pepe, oh, dude, she was, yeah, no, pretty lady, god damn, I'm gonna, you give me a call, Miss Pepe, all right, when I'm 18, I'm 18 now, so you can, like, yeah, you feel me?
I also miss Miss Polk. She ran Mathletes, go Mathletes! She also signed my letter of recommendation, so very happy for that. Really missed math class because I always got A's in everything. But this one kid got an A+, and I was so mad because I deserve an A+.
We like to pretend, so I'll like stay in my room and my mom will start a Zoom call from the kitchen and we'll do Zoom like everyone else does, but just like because we can.
I wouldn't even be talking in class. Like, the French teacher, I would be asking a question, and she would yell at me. She would yell at me and be like, oh, baguette, 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 baguette. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I hated it. Oh, So, how am I keeping the high school spirit alive? I keep the high school spirit alive with our robotics team. I was the president. The only people I liked there were the freshmen, though, because they actually listened to me. No one else did.
Bro, when it comes to, like, school spirit, dude, I mean, I'm all about just, like, I feel like the best way to embrace Jake Paul high school spirit, bro, is to just, like, is to drink alcohol, bro, and then, like, I just get plastered, dude. I mean, that's how I embrace the spirit. I encourage you all to embrace the spirit.
To keep the school spirit alive, we're still hosting productions at home. We're just doing shortened versions, and we're actually filming them for our neighbors and really anyone that wants to watch.
The school decided that it's a good idea to send in yard signs declaring that I am a senior graduating during this quarantine, during this trying time. Well, I didn't really participate in sports or gym because the only sport I did was Mathletes! Yay! Go Mathletes!
Don't. You're a wuss, all right? We don't want wusses at Drake Paul High School. We don't have wusses here, okay?
We are keeping them down to the shortened versions just so that it's easier to email the videos to people. So like currently we're doing Spring Awakening, but without any of the sad parts in it. So the whole show is about 3 minutes long. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to play all of the parts. It's a little hard in editing, but I think we're gonna come together.
As a whole, the school decided that it is good for me. It makes my life so much better. It is the epitome of my high school career to have this sign in the front of my yard.
Listen, I learned so many lessons at high school, bro. I mean, dude, I learned like all about
Well, high school told me to not like myself, stereotypically, but I love myself because everyone would always bully me. A life lesson that I learned from my high school: I hate people. Every single person that went to that school made my life a living hell.
One life lesson from high school that I learned personally is that I learned in school, at home school, I learned
yeah, I didn't learn anything. Dude, high school sucked, bro. What's the point of algebra 2, man? That was, that was stupid, bro.
You know why? Because every time I walked through those doors, walking down those halls, I would see all these people, with their individuality and their, just...
Something I learned in high school is that I can sing Defying Gravity in every audition and have it be a success. I can hit the notes that Idina Menzel, my icon, can also hit.
The rest of them, they're all gonna probably be drug addicts. Am I right? Am I right? I'll see them in a few years as burnouts. Anyway, peace out! Mathletes!
All aboard, skipper, welcome to Florida. You're Emma? Yeah, you got the right Subaru Outback then. And I got the right Key West International Airport. Let me just, make sure that all my tackle box I moved to the front seat. Yep. Gets to sit up here because you're our special guest of the day. You ever been here before? I retired down here 7 years ago as of last week. Yeah, I had a little fiesta with the angling buddies. I moved down here because I heard the fishing was real good in the Keys. Yeah, I drive for Uber as a way to reel in a little extra cash if you catch my drift. My pals and I like to drink PBR and catch some amberjack. Some people say catching those bass is impossible. I say, try catching a rainbow trout on the 3rd Thursday of the month when it's raining. You're real quiet back there, Snapper. You nervous about your first time in the Keys?
Oh, no.
I feel ya. Just like I was nervous about my first time blast fishing. I like to say, just light it up and fire in the hole, am I right?
Actually, I don't know.
Let me guess. You're probably headed down to hit up those old outlet malls, right, Squid Lips?
That's a little sexist,
yeah.
but...
I have a friend that works over there. The crew and I nicknamed him Barnacle Boy, because by day, he works on the floor in JCPenney, and by night, he's a full-blown scallop fisherman. Yeah, I was just at the store myself picking up a few necessities for reeling in some Atlantic triple tail. Yeah, I acquired some live bait on the way to pick you up. Yeah, you see that white box next to you? Chock full of worms.
They're still alive!
What does your shirt say, Sandpiper? Seniors. Gotta love it. My daughter just graduated college last year. Her ceremony was a whale of a time. I had to skedaddle early, though. It was prime bonefish season, and the boys and I had a date with the Devil's Toe. That's Gary's boat. He bought it last year after he won a raffle down at the old Bass Pro Shop. Yeah. So what are you gonna study in college? Shark bait? Let me guess. Philosophy. Yeah, I got my own philosophy. Don't go after a yellowtail snapper when you got half a tank of gas past 6 o'clock on a leap year. Bonefishing is a different story though. I like to catch those by the dozen, 'cause I can. But I don't keep them though. Oh no. I reel them in, I give them a little kiss on the lips, and I throw them back right where they came from.
Do you have any other stories?
We're actually pulling up on the left here to Mandy's truck. It's that old blue Chevy in the abandoned gas station parking lot. Yeah, that's where I like to pick up my dinner. Yeah, she sells everything from soft shell clams to a 42-pound lobster, and she sells it all for real cheap.
I am sorry, but
Actually, lump sucker, do you mind if I pull over and recruit a few pounds of soft shell crab for dinner tonight?
I'd actually
The missus and I are gonna have a real fancy inside date to watch the new episode of Deadliest Catch. I promise, I won't be longer than a great white, swimming in the Arctic on the shortest day of the year with a fish in its mouth.
Look, can you just please...
Just hold on, I'll be right back.
No, please, just take me to my destination. Oh my God.
Oh no, what happened?
Dave.
Oh, I got this. Hey, kiddo.
Dad.
It's good though. Good. Try it.
I'm sorry. Okay, you know what? Let's take off his sweatshirt. Get rid of pictures of him. We don't have to look at him. Goodbye, Dave.
Mom, you don't understand. He's tagged in 400 of my posts.
Well, I can cut out tags.
No, that's not how it works.
What is a tag?
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care would love to share their first with you.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm David Schaub. There
Okay,
you go.
cool. There, that's
And
our
I'm an
intro.
animation director /
Okay, good.
supervisor.
Great,
Been
you
doing it
did my
for almost
job.
15, 20 years. There you go.
Yeah,
There's your intro.
you can interview yourself.
There you
What
go.
do I need to be here for? But so well, how have you been during this?
Hanging in there, isolating like everyone else. So yeah, been making the most of the time here for sure. But you know what? It hasn't been bad at all, to be honest.
No?
I mean, for the kind of work we do, if you're set up, at home like I am, I'm perfectly fine doing work from here. So that's what I'm doing, between animation and writing, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. So there's plenty of stuff to be done, and there's no reason to stop. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
So could you just talk a bit about how you got started?
Oh, that was years ago. I got started way back in the days of, I don't know what your tools are that you're using. Well, you said you're not necessarily animation, but a popular software package for animation is 3D Studio Max. I don't know if that rings a bell.
Yeah.
But what it was back then, it was 3D Studio version 2 or something. There wasn't even a Windows version, so it was like DOS. But it was I was doing a lot of animation work, technical animation work in the aerospace business, because that's kind of like a niche at the time where you're just doing technical presentations of how satellites are folded up onto the space shuttle at the time, and how they, once they get into orbit, they go through their the antennas come out, solar panels come out, and that was a little niche at the time for where animation could be used. And it was around 1990, I guess it was right around Jurassic Park time, when it was really proven that computer animation was truly a viable tool. That as soon as Jurassic Park came out, that changed everything. And I went from there, from what was Hughes Aircraft at the time. I did some computer science classes at UCLA and did some a little demo piece. And from that demo piece, got my first gig at Sony, and they were doing previs at the time, because that's really, that's where the tools were. That's kind of where they were up to at that point, as far as capability at Sony anyway. So they're doing a lot of previs. I came on when they did Anacondas. It was like Anaconda previs, and I think it was Money Train and some other films, Sony films, that they just basically. You said you're a film student, so you know what I'm talking about when we talk about previs, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was that, it was the early days of previs, and then they slowly started migrating into the world of, full-on character animation.
Was it a particular event or thing that made you realize animation was just your way of telling stories? Or
yeah, I think I always kind of knew that. I mean, back when I was young, really young, yeah, it was like Jungle Book came out. That was like the first one that really made a huge impression. I'd say that I was leaning more toward that. Plus, there was the Ray Harryhausen stuff, which, was even before my time, but that had a lasting impression for sure. Introduced to that through the Monster magazines at the time, and just really got into that whole thing with 8mm cameras, physical cameras and film. You kids have it so good now.
Yeah.
We had to develop film. We had to shoot this stuff and guess if we were doing it right, and then wait a couple weeks for it to be processed. And so, but it was, but yeah, that was kind of the early days of it. And then again, like I said, once I was happily working away with the technical animations when Jurassic Park came out, that was like, okay, yeah, that was the big turning point.
When you were working on films, and when you're working on things now, is it your job to take into account exactly what, as an animator, what the audience wants, or is it more that what the director or executive?
It's certainly a group effort. I think the director on the large scale, yeah, but as an animator, should you care? Hell yeah. I mean, your job is to entertain, even more so is to elicit some kind of emotional response. I mean, that's what audiences want. They go to movies, to basically feel something. So when you're given a shot, regardless of, how complex or how how prominent it is in the film, it's still your job to milk it for everything it's worth, and find something in there to make it special in every shot. A lot of animators, when I first started, there's groups of animators coming in, they all wanted the A shots, they wanted the big shots, to really, sink their teeth into it and have a big, big statement in the movie. But so often I was happy to just take whatever, make the best of every opportunity. And sometimes those secondary shots, those B, C, and D shots that nobody wanted, you really think about it and think what you can do with it. And suddenly they become A shots.
Yeah.
So that's a really important thing to take away. It's just like, never turn your nose up, and don't turn your nose up at anything, and take every opportunity to, make the most of whatever somebody throws at you.
I mean, even like Disney, like the Lion King, like nobody wanted to work on that back in the day, at least from interviews.
Right.
That was the B movie.
It was like
considered.
Pocahontas or something.
Yeah.
Pocahontas.
Yeah, it was Pocahontas.
Yeah.
But look at the cultural impact that the Lion King has left versus Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. You just never know.
Yeah.
That's why William Goldman, is just right in what he said. It's like, nobody knows anything. You think you got it figured out, you release it, you never know what's going to work. You just don't. That's why you got to take every opportunity and run with it. After Stewart, there was a string of films that came along that I really wasn't thrilled about working on, but it was an opportunity. And that's kind of the transition for me, out of, straight up animation and into supervising, was a show that, I wasn't, it was early days of motion capture experimentation, let's say. And it was a good opportunity just because of what came out of it and the relationships that came out of it. So not only, what goes on your reel, but the relationships that come out of it, because it's those relationships that kind of forge your future and where you go from there.
You were nominated for an Academy Award, right?
Yeah, for Alice. And there you go. That's a direct result of having, jumped onto that motion capture show that I wasn't particularly thrilled about, but that was the relationship that brought me into that, and then worked with Tim Burton. It was Ken Ralston was the visual effects supervisor. It's because I worked with him on those, just raise your hand and say, yeah, you'll do it. And you'll do whatever it takes to make it great. And it was because of that, I ended up on Alice in Wonderland. So again, that was a direct result of A, relationships, and B, just making the most of everything that comes your way.
Yeah, because I mean, Alice was a stunning movie visually. So like just everyone on that team, just props. It's interesting because almost everything you've worked, pretty much everything has some sort of life to it, like in the animations, where as a lot of film studios, I feel like now they don't, like, or at least some, like we were talking about, some semblance of physics, like reality to the world, where a lot of studios, like whether, and I don't want to, discredit those artists, because they're working their hardest, but it's a time, I think it might be a time thing or something, because films get cut.
That has a lot to do with it. And again, even back in the day, when some of those early superhero movies were coming out, a lot of the, we'll say, excuses for bad physics was, oh, that's what the director asked for. Well, I think the director would have been happy if it was, if they were actually able to pull off some of the physically based stuff,
Yeah.
So, or that he's a superhero, so he can do anything. So, you just throw the rules out the window and say, well, it's a superhero, he can do that. Well, but I get it when it comes to, maybe his strength and such, but when you break the laws of physics, if gravity, for example, gravity isn't working, or gravity is pulling a character faster than he could possibly go, it's a simple jump. I mean, sure, he's a superhero, but if he jumps off of something, he's got to feel, bound by gravity and follow those physical rules. And it's just amazing how that's just, no one was paying attention to that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the exciting thing for me for, working on that movie. It was actually an opportunity to really focus on getting the physics right,
Yeah.
And then, I was crossing the line on both sides. I was doing that plus the stylized stuff, the feature animation. On Surf's Up, I'd say that was the other highlight. So Surf's Up and I'd say Alice, out of all that, You
Yeah.
know, you work on all kinds of different films, but in the end, and you think back, you know, other than the great people you worked with and met and grew with along the way, still the takeaway experiences in films with Surf's Up and Alice in Wonderland for sure.
I actually remember because I used to always go to the library and take out Surf's Up because I don't know, I was fascinated by the water in that film. I don't know
it's
why.
great.
It was
Yeah.
it was just so beautiful, like at least from what I had seen at the time. And I don't know if it was
it hadn't been done. It was just a major Rob Breda was the visual effects supervisor on that. And then ultimately, right around the time I left, or shortly, it might have been a little bit before, he went to ILM, and now he's running the place. So,
yeah,
you know, again,
cool.
it's just like another example of, you know, him taking opportunities and running with. So yeah, he's actually running ILM. So yeah, it was the water was amazing, and what was great about that animation wise was just doing the naturalistic documentary style animation, just really off the cuff stuff
that
where,
was,
you know,
that was
you're not
cool
just
too.
talking. So it's really like what we're doing now, you know, it's really
Yeah.
off the cuff, and it needed to come off that way.
Yeah,
So
no,
that was a lot of fun.
because last week I interviewed Kevin Mock, who worked on DC's on Tomorrow over at the CW, and because he came from America's Next Top Model, so he got to film an episode where where it was just what's it called? It was shot in a documentary style because the writers knew that that's what he liked, or that's where he came from. So it's like just taking what you have and work or what you know you can do and working with it very well, like to the best of your ability. But that wasn't done in an animated movie, a documentary style before Surf's Up, right? Or I don't think it's done
inanimate, you know, I mean, I think it was heavily. What inspired me was that it had been done with the Aardman Studios. They did those shorts. One short, Creature Comforts, right? Where it was claymation, where the interviewer comes and just talks to animals at the zoo, and it was just it was just random dialogue they recorded out of context, you know, of people saying stuff. Which reminds me, which I'll tell you another little thing, a little gem, talking about make the most of every opportunity. Back on the first Stuart Little, there was a point where stuff went into rewrites, and so animators were idle for, I don't know, a couple weeks. And, you know, people sitting around wondering what to do with themselves. So there was ping pong tables outside, and people were playing ping pong, and I just wanted to animate. So I just took the opportunity to do one of those Creature Comfort style bits of animation where I just took voice tracks from, it was Jennifer Tilly and Bruno Kirby and Michael J. Fox. And I just started meshing them all together to create some kind of convoluted stuff. It didn't make any sense by itself, but it was something to animate to. And just because I was just dying to animate something, because again, I was getting like these B and C level shots, this was something that I could just like do for fun.
How are you with plaster, Stewie? Reggie's not so good with his hands. What?
That's not what you used to say.
Reggie? Oh my God, you are so disgusting. I'm sorry. Stop it, Reggie.
That joke is not a little dirty for the kids, huh? Yeah. It's okay with me. I'll do whatever you want. It's just,
I was thinking it was more a joke for the parents.
I did that, and all of a sudden, boom, it just blew up, and they put it on the DVD as an outtake. And then, you know, that was my path into being a lead animator on Stuart 2. It wasn't like I was hungry trying to push my way through. It was more of just having a passion for it. And just, you know, I wanted to do that more than play ping pong. So again, just calls back to that thing I keep saying is just don't let any opportunity pass you by.
Yeah, that's interesting though, because you didn't even know it was an opportunity, like at the time. You just took it as something fun to do. Like
exactly.
What else were you gonna do?
And by the way, not only did that get me into lead role on Stuart 2, it was that piece that that Chris Buck saw. He's the director, you know, he's a Frozen director.
Yeah.
He's the one he was the director on Surf's Up. One of the directors. Ash Brannon was the other director. It was that piece because that's the style. That's totally the style of Surf's Up. And that one little piece I did on my own time, look how it snowballed into something, for the next Stuart, lead animator, and then and then them seeing that on which led into Surf's Up. But even on Surf's Up, that still wasn't enough. He was excited about it, but asked for another test. So there was a couple tests that I did on that for him as well, which just kind of solidified that in the style that he was looking for. And then that one thing led to the next, and then that was the Stuart Little, or the Surf's Up sort of path.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a bit about what's been a big obstacle that you faced in your career?
So yeah, the biggest obstacle probably was making the transition from being a straight up animator into the world of being a supervisor, because I was just getting my feet wet with animating full time. As a lead animator, and then a lot of the other animators were rolling on to another show that that everybody wanted to go. I can't even remember what it was at the time. It might have been Open Season. It might have been what was happening.
I think that was around that time.
Yeah. And then I had this request to work with Ken Ralston, and Ken Ralston has been in the business forever. He's got six Oscars, and he's just so happened to be a film that he was jumping onto, and he wanted me to work on it as the animation supervisor. So, there's a little bit of anxiety there. So I think that transition was a little, we'll call it an obstacle. But in the long run, it was a good move. It was good that I did that, because it led to all these other things. I've worked with them for many years, and had I said, no, I want to be an animator, I want to go work on Open Season, well, that whole my whole path would have been entirely different. So.
Since I don't think we talked about it formally. You just want to talk a bit about, like we talked about in the beginning, obviously, but do you want to just talk about a bit about how you brought the physics to Spider-Man in the Amazing Spider-Man series? And working with Marc Webb.
So Spider-Man, I really just leading into that, I wasn't really a superhero. We'll say a superhero fan, or I wasn't really a fan of the movies or the genre. But when Marc Webb came along and he wanted to, and part of it was because of the physicality. Some of it was just so preposterous, the physics of what was going on in those movies.
Mm-hmm.
But when Marc really expressed what he was after, which was really he wanted to bring a physicality to this that hadn't been seen before. Whereas in the past, I think, it was just like, well, he's a superhero. He can do anything and everything. And, you can excuse everything because he's got different powers. But it takes you out of the moment if gravity isn't doing what gravity is supposed to do, or a punch, somebody gets hit, in the stomach and they end up flying, a mile like this, and gravity has no effect.
Yeah.
It's these kinds of nonsensical bits of physicality that just really irritated me. And when Marc said, no, he wants to get past all that. So, it was a chance for me to bring out my, all the stuff that I had studied early on in school, because I sort of came, I think I mentioned, kind of an engineering background.
Yeah.
And really bringing a physicality to it that had never been done before. And so I had on a whole series of classes on physics, and went through all that with the animators, and just went through, literally, it was like a 3-session physics class that we went through. And that was really what excited me about it. And we, when something didn't work, if something was shot and it didn't work, Marc was all on board with, stripping it down. And even though they filmed it, on wires or whatever, and it's just the wire works often looks like wire work. It looks like he's, suspended by a wire rather than, or being dropped to the ground slower than he normally would if gravity were acting on him. So he was all on board with just completely stripping it down and doing it as animation from the ground up.
And then there was the overhand scramble, which still hasn't made an appearance really in a Spider-Man film, which I found very interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen it since. And
I said, I wonder, I'm glad you noticed. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
I know. One of the few, because obviously nobody paid any attention, and they went back to jumping bean style. So
yeah.
Not it's their thing, and it's a style for sure, but it wasn't the style that Marc was after. And I really like the idea that we got the physics in there, and the scramble. Remind me again what that was.
It was, when like he's like swinging on his web to gain momentum, he would pull.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Just to gain speed and height, or
yeah.
That
things like that. Yeah, things like that. Where just trying to find little nuances, little things that made it come alive. Because again, it would have been so easy just to do what had been done, and we could have written it off and moved on. But there was just this passion, among myself and other animators involved to, do something special, even if it was far beyond what was even ever expected.
Yeah.
And when we showed Marc that stuff, he got excited. He wanted to do more of it. So we just took the opportunity to do that. And, the swinging sequences through the city, just getting the physics of a pendulum swing, the physics of acceleration on a pendulum. That was just something in.
Do you just want to talk a bit about what you're working on now?
Sure. So my time at Sony came to an end around 2016, I think it was. The last thing that we explored doing while I was there was Dumbo, because we'd worked with Tim on Alice in Wonderland, and there was so we just figured it was a logical next step for us is to work on that. But it's for whatever reason there was the shooting was going to be done in London, and MPC is moving picture company had just done Jungle Book, and it made all the sense in the world for them to roll on to that. But I still managed to do some Dumbo flying tests. So that was the end of Sony for me, because everything pretty much moved up to Vancouver. And I wasn't, this is my home here, so that wasn't even an option for me. So kind of had to reinvent a little bit, which you'll do many times in your career. You're going to reinvent yourself. So yeah, I've just been doing a lot of writing. I'm working on a virtual reality ride now.
That's so cool.
We had done a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World ride. It was called Jurassic World Expedition VR experience, but it was on a big motion-based ride platform for Universal.
That's so cool.
And it ended up of all places, not that it was designed for these guys, but it ended up at Dave & Buster's. You know what Dave & Buster's is? I had no idea at the time. So, I mean, that's a very, it's a carnival sort of environment. So
that's kind of, I feel like that's kind of funny though, that it ended up Dave & Buster's.
Yeah, well, it had to end up somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So but I mean, it didn't. We got started on this knowing we would, it would end up somewhere. And Universal was involved, and we got all the ILM assets for the dinosaurs, and I think it's a great step toward virtual reality and what it can be, immersive, cinematic immersiveness kind of thing, because everything that I've seen, well, I'll say everything, it's getting better in some cases. Some people have done some really great stuff, but I think it's really centralized around sort of the gamification and the gamey looking qualities. You see floating hands, and you're shooting stuff and solving puzzles, and that's, to me, I have zero interest in that. I mean, what's interesting to me is the whole cinematic side of it, is finding a way to bring the cinematic level of, I mean, we're not there yet, but there was a big jump toward a lot of what's already been done, full on dinosaurs that, were sourced those files from ILM, and, rigged and animated them in a way that we could actually get them into the game engine. And it turned out really well. So based on that, we're moving on and doing a similar thing for Legendary, the Monsterverse.
So cool.
Characters. Yeah. So that's kind of like my daily gig here. And then there's all the development work and writing, which, I've always been dabbling with along the way.
Just want to say the name real quick. Just have you say it. Just
the Instagram,
the Instagram account, or wherever you want to promote it.
It's Movie Methods, at Movie Methods.
That's it.
Anything else? Are we good? Unless you got other questions, I'm good. Okay.
I think we're good. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. It's cool. Yeah. Good to meet you guys.
Nice to meet
you. Good luck with all you do.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Hey everyone, it's Justin here. So the SD card kind of got corrupted, which is great, because now I don't have to do it with Aydan. But, not gonna lie, I kind of like pizza. Yeah, I really am addicted. Like, the Janonews thing was not a bit. I do have a problem. Like, this was number 4 from today, but that's besides the point. Anyway, I hope you're all staying safe. And I hope you guys liked this episode, because it was really hard for me to, you know, trust, essentially. That's a very hard thing for me to do. And there's a long story behind it, and we're not going to get into it right now, because, you know, time. But what you should know is that this was a huge milestone for me. And yeah, I mean, also, we'll have a better intro next week. I just kind of had to make this quick. Anything else? Oh yeah. And if you haven't checked it out already, please visit David's Instagram. It's here. I'm trying to get my face. Or in the description if you're watching on YouTube. Yeah, we'll leave it up there for a few seconds. He's just such a great guy. He's so sweet, so nice, and he really got me into learning or interested in the breakdowns of these kinds of visual effects with Spider-Man and like I'm like a huge Spider-Man fan. If you couldn't tell by the Spider-Verse poster, or the you can't see that, but the Spider-Man action figures atop my desk that I do not want to move because reasons, and they can fall. Anyway, I hope you guys all stay safe, stay healthy, and yeah, it's just kind of, you know, hard doing this kind of stuff, but even if I don't like some people, you know who you are, I do seriously appreciate everyone's help in this. It really means a lot, and I'm gonna start learning to listen and trust again. Peace out. Hey, people at home or on Instagram or currently in the bathroom watching this with the sound off, because we know you do that. But people do that. Anyway, this is one of my least favorite people on the face of the planet. Aydan, do you want to say something? Anything?
Hey, it's me, and I'm Aydan.
Yeah.
We're having a great time over here. We just lost a bunch of files that we just filmed, but you know what? It's okay, because at least we're healthy and we're safe.
I don't know if you know me, but I'm not healthy at all.
Well, at least you are virus-free, knock on wood.
I think that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Oh, let's stop it here, because I am now uncomfortable.
Good. Anyway, our show premieres on Thursday at 10 p.m. The reboot, as I am calling it, because as I have said to many people, I want to kill the first episode with fire. Not the interview part, just my parts. Anything you would like to add?
I would agree. I'm just kidding. It was great. It just needed some extra flair from amazing people like myself and like the many other talented people working on the show.
You could tell that this was totally scripted. Peace. Bye.